Arrive?
At the station or in Tokyo?
In Japan.
No, I've been here a few days.
Oh, is that right? But the performance isn't until next week, right?
Right, Monday.
How's it been so far?
Great. I was in Kyoto yesterday.
Why'd you go there first?
Well, I was just there to witness the fetus performance, scraping fetus off the wood. Are you going to that show tonight?
I was contemplating. I'm a little bit busy, though. How was it?
Great. You should really see it. Tonight or tomorrow.
I've heard, like, the records, does he do a lot of scratching and bumping on stage as well?
He doesn't play anything on stage, he just sings, but it's quite a performance.
Is that right? It's just all, he's bringing tapes with him and stuff?
Yeah.
Is that right? I like that.
It's great.
You went all the way down there for that, huh?
Well, we're here together.
Oh, is that right? How did that come about?
We live together.
Oh, okay.
So we travel together.
Ask a silly question. I'm not up on my gossip these days.
That's okay. It's not gossip.
Let's see, I think they'll do the voice test there pretty soon. What we'll do basically is tape the interview now and then kind of chop it up later. And I'll do sort of a report on it in Japanese on this weekly magazine type program.
Okay. Which is aired when?
Let's see, it'll be aired on the 24th, which I believe is what?
Saturday?
Sunday? Yeah. So the day before your performance.
Okay.
So, actually, you don't have to worry about that now. Maybe during the report, I'll be talking about your performance tomorrow.
Okay.
So, do this guy. Also this guy. All right, make a few minor adjustments here.大体このぐらいの距離で。
そうですね。いいと思います。もうちょっとお話してみますか。
Is this your first public appearance then? Or?
In Tokyo, yes.
Is that right? Do you have a lot of press lined up for you while you're here?
Somewhat, yes.
A lot of music mags?
I did an interview with Focus 2 days ago.
Is that right?
Coming out, I guess, this week.
Is that right? Well, they tend to go for the lurid and sensational. What was their angle on you, or do you know yet?
I guess I'm lurid and sensational.
I like the Focus.
Okay. What did you do for the cameras of Focus when they... Are they going to photograph the stage, or...?
No, they took some photographs, and not that lurid nor sensational, but...
Is that right?
We'll see.
Yeah, they have kind of a wicked reputation. So.
I saw a great photo layout that they did of a woman. I mean, I saw it one time, having her arms and legs chopped up.
Oh, my God.
I enjoyed that.
You like that, huh? Hi. Hi. Pregnant pause here. Okay, so this is then your first public appearance here. How many shows are you going to be doing in Japan?
2 performances tomorrow.
And what will the performances entail? I mean, maybe you could describe it just a little bit.
The performance basically consists of, you can call it a monologue, a diatribe, or a verbal assault. I call it the story of my life. I basically just... It's my philosophy. It's not like my philosophy due to what I have endured, basically, and what I enjoy, or the pursuit of unhappiness, I guess you could also sum it up, but just in my life experiences, all autobiographical. And that's what I do now, storytelling.
You describe a lot of agony and pain. Is this all based on true experience?
Indeed. I mean, fact is so much more ridiculous than fiction.
Wait a minute, there was a thing a selection on the tape here about you're taking a pair of pliers to your body there. Does this actually happen?
Yes. I don't need to fictionalize.
Is that right?
Indeed.
Well, the tone of it is rather flip. Are you making kind of light of various experiences you've been through?
What I'm trying to do is just explain how a certain person can how a female can end up the way I have through life's a series of misfortunes, but what I try to do is make the most of it and turn basically shit into gold. It's just describing what I have gone through and how it's purging it from myself, so I can eliminate it and therefore learn I'm not trying to educate the world about the uglier side of reality. I'm not trying to glamorize or romanticize my experiences. I'm just trying to tell it as I have felt it and hopefully improve as a person because of it and not be burdened with all the negativity that I've had to bear the brunt of.
Before you started this type of approach to your performances, was it something that had been eating at you or bothering you? You talk about purging yourself of the negativity of the whole thing.
My life has eaten at me, the entirety of it, but basically because of my 7 or 8 years in music prior to my storytelling, which also related to the agonies and the ecstasy of such agony, to me, music was just too one-dimensional, because every time I tried to express myself, the sentimentality was so specific for each creation. Therefore, if you're not in the mood to listen to that certain mood, or if I'm not in the mood to perform that mood, it's a very restrictive thing. However, and that's consequently why everything I have done has been very different from each other, because it's basically the head of each pinprick I've tried to express. Now, in a storytelling format, I can just be more emotional and more just diverse in my range of expression, because for some reason music just hindered me, or it was just such a specific thing to me.
What was the turning point between the musical stage and the storytelling stage?
I think just because I had expressed not so many different sentiments throughout my music, but because I had been trying to express the same sentiments in different ways, and after 8 or 9 or 10 or 12 records in 7 or 8 years, it just becomes a very limited format, and I wanted to just grow and develop and be able to communicate better. So therefore I began storytelling, which probably also won't last very long. I'm sure I'll tell all my stories and then hopefully move on to something else.
What was the genesis of that? What was the real single turning point? Why did you get up on stage and start telling stories?
Good question. Why embarrass myself? Why lay it all out? I mean, I still haven't figured that, but I feel it is just so that I can stand beside myself and see, so that I can, when I am externalizing how I feel, it's the same with conversation. You can be the greatest thinker in the world, but if you have no one to express your thoughts to, you don't really know what you're thinking about until you start getting it out. So I think that's why I was forced to tell stories, is so I could finally say, oh my God, that is it, isn't it? Hence the cassette, the uncensored Lydia Lunch, and the storytellings.
When you perform on stage, though, you have to please the audience, the listener. Do you find yourself slipping into a persona, or do you think you can pretty much maintain?
Well, first of all, I've never attempted to please any audience ever. That was never my intention. When I began creating, actually, when I first began externalizing in a musical format my thoughts, in 1977 with Teenage Jesus and the Jerks, I mean, it was the antithesis of pleasing the audience. It was assaulting the audience. It was venting my anger and hatred of not only myself, but of the entire human race, and basically proving the point that you can do anything and get away with it. People will buy anything. People will listen to anything. People will believe everything you tell them. I mean, not everyone, but there is an audience for anything, everything. And I continue to prove that pleasing the audience, I try to please myself, and I am more difficult to please probably than any gathering of 250 to 500 to 5,000 people, just because my tastes are so much more specific. The persona that I may be slipping in or out of into when I'm telling stories, I mean, it's all very much me. I'm not trying to cop an attitude, although some of it is very strong. Obviously, if I'm just talking to you now, it's a little bit more laid back than when I'm up there trying to concentrate 25 years of my life into 30 minutes. So it becomes a bit more intense on stage, performed in a condensed fashion.
You have certain topics you set aside, I take it, and then you just ad-lib from there, or is it a set shtick?
It has been referred to as a shtick repeatedly. I tend not to refer to it as that myself, but I have a few different stories I have a few different formats. It depends on my mood of that day. I mean, I know the stories that I'm going to be telling on this particular performances, which are less of a story format than, say, the Uncensored Cassette. It's more a running monologue, a running sentence, an accumulation of thoughts strung together, linking experiences and why, how, when, where.
What about reactions to the storytelling as opposed to the music?
I find that the reactions are much stronger just because basically it's a more personal thing and people can identify with it because, as I said before, if I'm performing and telling it like it is through music, which is going to be such a specific thing that many people are either going to be just basically turned off by the specificness of my music or the intenseness of it or the the irritability of it. This way, I think, because it is only my voice, and there is only so much you can insult an audience with, it's just more, because it is more personal, and people know that I'm up there telling exactly how I feel. I think they are more affected by it, which is, it doesn't matter to me one way or the other, basically how they feel about it, as long as I am, yes, venting these demons from myself. Which is why I also say that my storytelling career probably will be coming to a halt very soon, and I will be graduating, hopefully, onto other things. God knows what that is. But
when you're speaking, do people sit there politely for the 30 minutes, or to allow them to get up?
In Japan, I'm sure they will, but in various places where I have performed, which I don't go on tour and tell stories the same way I never really went on tour to do music. I target what I want to do, where I want to do it. However, in places like New York, when I'm subjected to performing in clubs, which I refuse to do basically, I will have to not only interrogate or assault or insult the audience. Basically, I quite often have to physically go and abuse them if I find that their reactions call for such. It's more involved now. Sometimes I prefer the audience participation, but basically I do like them to sit there, shut up, listen, get their money's worth, leave me alone, go home, and think about it. Don't bother me. I'm giving you as much as I can without also having to come and slap you in the face or get slapped in the face.
What type of audience behavior merits physical prodding on your part?
Well, it's just when people become, when they, part of my story, in some of my stories, I will say everyone wants to vent their frustration. Everyone wants to be part of the act. You want to blow off a little steam. Well, this is your chance, okay? I mean, I do. It's not that I do encourage it, only because sometimes what I am venting is so strong and so ugly or so emotional that people do feel the need to also retaliate. Also, men, it seems, have told me that quite often they feel like slapping my face in the middle of a performance just because what I'm saying maybe hits too true to the bone. I'm sorry, you bought it, you eat it, that's what I say.
Well, on the whole, have your experiences with men been worse than with women?
I would say so, but then again, it's only because I know more men than I do women. I can't say I have more in common with them, but they're the species I have been spending much of my time investigating.
And, of course, the ultimate problem here in Japan is that a lot of the audience is not going to be able to understand English. Or do you see that as a barrier?
Well, no, because I think that although they won't perhaps understand either the slang or the rapidity of my conversations, I think that, and I hope that they'll be able to understand the emotions I am expressing, or that my personality will also come out, as opposed to having a band and expressing songs that, yes, music is a universal language, but it's just more contrived, which I'm trying to avoid, the contrivance, which is ever present.
Is this the first time you've been performing in front of this type of an audience? Or you will be?
Foreign audience?
Yeah, foreign audience.
No, I have performed in Europe in a few places, and I didn't really find that a barrier at all.
What was the reaction among those people?
A little violence here and there, and a little subservience here and there, some worshiping. I mean, you can't, everyone is different. I think that when I'm expressing myself so intimately, people are going to be affected.
Came to Japan. What's the circumstances behind this visit?
I've wanted to come here for some time, just because I guess it's the furthest thing away, but being quite similar to America. And also, I just had heard so many good reports, and it seems like now a lot of musicians are coming here. It seemed like a good time to me. Like I said, I target what I do and try to decide where I would either like to go to do that, or where would be most appropriate or most inappropriate, just for a challenge. Right now, I'm pretty much sick of the whole European lack of phenomena, shall we say. So I just wanted something different, something new, and here I am.
Does it have much to do with the Jim Fetus tour here at all then?
Well, I did come with the Scraping Fetus Off the Wheel entourage, because we are a close-knit family. Although our aesthetics are very similar, our actual performances have absolutely nothing in common on the stage. So,
what does he think of your on-stage harangue there?
well, I think he enjoys it. He also enjoys my private haranguing, so I don't know, the man is probably easy to please as far as I'm concerned, but there's no telling.
Has he been made the subject of any of your stage rap?
He and Nick Cave and Blix Bargeld, a lot of very famous performers and entertainers are in my stories. However, I unfortunately refer to them all as he, because I find the he a very universal phenomena. So no one gets any credit. I mean, forget it. By Lydia Lunch, but who is involved is it's irrelevant, really.
What is the he, though? You have a set persona for
Well,
the he?
Well, there's a lot of different characters, but they are all referred to as he. Much easier. Much easier and much harder for the gossip columnist to trail after my tail.
And what have some of the subjects of the stories what have they had to say about it?
You mean, what are some of the...
Do they recognize themselves?
Oh, the subjects,
yeah.
They definitely recognize themselves, and they're usually quite thankful that I'm using he and not their names. Right.
But,
indeed.
So this has been going on for, like, the storytelling segment of your career, that is, for about how many months now?
For about a year and a half I've been doing this.
About a year and a half.
But very irregularly and at very specific occasions only. Because if I am going to be going through this entire fiasco, which is basically getting me out of my house, A, forcing me to perform, B, and then possibly paying me for it, it has to be a very special occasion. I am not interested in just, dragging myself here, there, or the other place in order to get myself or my performances known. I feel that basically anyone who wants to know about what I do or wants to know about me will find me and will search me out. I'm not that obscurist or elitist, and now I am organizing my, not career because I hate that term, but my past musical forays I'm all getting very organized, and I've started a production company called Widowspeak Productions out of Rough Trade in England. I'm trying to get a deal here, which I think will be happening soon, so that anyone who does want my products can find them without me having to force it onto the public, which I'm not interested in forcing myself onto anyone. Although I am a very forceful individual, I prefer forcing people in private. It's just much more interesting.
Well, do you have any idea what kind of activities you'll be up to after this segment of your career comes to a close?
Well, another thing I will be pursuing is probably the video market, and I don't mean musical video. I've done a video called The Right Side of My Brain, which is available through mail order only. Basically because I don't want to sell that. I don't want to, prostitute that through the usual formats of record stores or video stores, because it's a very personal video, a psychosexual drama concerning the misfortunes of one poor unfortunate, and how perhaps she feels from these events. It stars a lot of Henry Rollins of Black Flag, Clint Ruin, a.k.a. Jim Fetus, Norman Westberg of Swans, and it's just a series of vignettes, all very ugly and intimate, and what ultimately happens. So I'm going to be pursuing, I think, home videos which are available in this format only, trying to merge, say, Russ Meyer and Alfred Hitchcock and Eraserhead. That's my video dream. And because that just basically, I'll be doing the music, and, or I use a lot of found music. Jim Fetus produced the music on The Right Side of My Brain. and it's just more complete than, say, doing music or stories. It's combining it all together with the visual format. Therefore, I can film it in the privacy of my own home and give it to you for the privacy of your own home, because I do think that the intimacy and the nature of my performances, people should be able to enjoy, if that's the right word, these things by themselves in their own home, as opposed to having to sit with X amount of other people getting very fidgety about what I'm saying or what I'm evoking on stage. So I'm going to try to do that, other than visiting door to door, which would be my ultimate experiences, sort of a Scheherazade type thing. That's what I would personally wish. They call it prostitution in America, but that's not really how I term it. So I'm trying to reach the ultimate intimacy in that format, because that's what I'm about. Exploiting my intimate relationships for all to see. Why? I don't know. It's a habit I have.
Okay, well, on that note, I think that should wrap it up. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.